Dear defenders, this is day 1054 of Russia's desperate invasion of Ukraine, and in this short Sunday episode, we'll talk about Russians bombing their own citizens in Sudzha, two captured North Koreans, and the Russian losses admitted by some of the most notorious Russian terrorists. You're watching Only Facts with operator Starsky, and we'll talk about these updates right now. Over the past week, a number of strategic targets on the Russian territory were visited by good Ukrainian drones. Russian fuel storage at the military airbase in Engels keeps burning for the fifth day already. The notorious Russian airbase in Engels is often used by the terrorists to conduct missile strikes against Ukrainian cities. There were also significant strikes in Rostov Oblast and around St. Petersburg. The Russian military factory Plast Factor in Rostov Oblast is reported to be severely damaged, as we can see from the footage. Ukrainian military administration in Sudzha reported that the Russian terrorists dropped two bombs on the Russian college that was used as a bomb shelter by the Russian civilians. A local woman, unfortunately, was killed as a result. I don't have much to add here other than the Russian terrorist regime should not exist. In the World War II, same regime was repressing its own citizens who survived during the German occupation, and nowadays they basically do the same. Maybe to make sure that the poor civilians will never tell their story, because Russian propaganda really doesn't like it when native Russian citizens explain how exactly their own army is bombing and shelling their own civilians. Pavel Gubarev, notorious Russian terrorist and former governor of the so-called Donetsk People's Republic, in his recent interview criticized Putin's tactics of meat assaults and admitted enormous losses among the Russian terrorists that, by the way, closely reflect the official data on the Russian losses provided by the General Staff of Ukraine. Let's see this part of his interview.
3 года изнурительной войны, к которой мы оказались не готовы, колоссальные жертвы, наша армия ржавеет. Наша армия ржавеет, бойцы теряют навыки, бойцы теряют мотивацию. Но идти вперед, довоевывать до конца, это, конечно, идея плохая. Я сейчас попытаюсь ответить, почему. Проблемы армии, которые существовали в начале СВО, никуда не делись. Вот мы сейчас разговариваем, а сегодня порядка 300-200, я думаю, у нас есть. Вот такие цифры я примерно слышал. Каждый день сотни погибших. Мы не можем так воевать, нельзя так воевать. Я видел начало войны, и я видел то, к чему мы пришли. Мы уже, я считаю, там 1700 людей потеряли на этой войне. Может разнятся. Вот мои соратники, кто больше, глубже туда погружен, они считают побольше. Я говорю, сколько? 700? Да поболя, говорит мой товарищ Бамут. Поболя. Вот.
So, according to Pavel Gubarev, that is again considered a Russian official, according to his estimates, Russia already lost 700,000 dead and wounded, and according to his sources, those losses can be much higher than that. According to the General Staff of Ukraine, Russia's losses in this war as of today makes it approximately 808,000 Russian terrorists. Earlier, Ukrainian investigators from the organization Informational Resilience identified more than 90,000 Russian soldiers that were officially confirmed eliminated in Ukraine by the Russian media all across the terrorist federation. All sorts of the messages in the social media and obituaries were collected and processed by the Ukrainian investigators. And again, many more Russian terrorists are either buried without any publicity whatsoever or considered missing in action. All this resulted in Russia having to recruit mercenaries abroad in Africa, Latin America, and Middle Asia. However, we don't see much footage with them anymore. And speaking of foreign combatants, 2 North Koreans were captured this week by the Ukrainian defenders in Kursk Oblast. Earlier last week, a DPRK soldier was already captured, but unfortunately he didn't survive due to his wounds. Also, Ukraine collected quite a few bodies of the North Korean personnel together with the fake Russian documents with Korean signatures. This time, Ukraine was lucky to acquire 2 more or less healthy North Koreans that were delivered to Kyiv and already interrogated by the South Korean intelligence. Again, one of them had a fake Russian ID, like those found with the dead bodies that were captured earlier. And one of the North Koreans reported that he didn't know that he and his comrades were sent to fight against Ukraine. They were told that they were going to take part in the military exercise with the Russian invaders. I personally believe it was a lie. We've heard a lot of that bullshit from Russians captured earlier in 2022. But if it's true, it only confirms the level of Russian misinformation spread among their own troops. I hope that soon we will see a press conference with those captured North Koreans, because it will be a proper thing to do, and of course, I will keep you updated. Today's Russian cringe award goes to this amazing Kadyrovite who casually decided to shoot the sky. I really cannot explain this phenomenon. Let's just pretend this is what the Russians do when they feel bored. And he was so much involved in this process, so he didn't notice a deadly Ukrainian trap prepared for him by cunning Ukrainian communal services. We have no idea what happened to this poor bastard. Apparently he got devoured by the Ukrainian sewage system, because this is what you get for being a stupid a Russian invader. But it's not all, my friends. It was confirmed that Ukrainian defenders are using American drones produced by the company called Shield AI, located in California. These drones are invulnerable to the Russian electronic warfare and have vertical takeoff and landing capabilities. Co-founder of Shield AI, Mr. Brandon Tsang, told in his interview that such drones were used to destroy Russian air defense units. They were launched 40 kilometers away from the front line, flew 100 kilometers deep into the Russian-controlled territory, and coordinated HIMARS strike that effectively destroyed or derussified the Russian Buk air defense systems. Over the past month, Ukraine is showing increasing capabilities in terms of precision strikes and electronic warfare, which Russians don't really understand how to counter so far. With that, my dear friends, I wish you all a beautiful day. Please share this episode, and traditionally I will see you in the commentaries. I'm Operator Starsky. As always, be safe.